In the distant constellation of Hydra, on a planet with the unpronounceable name of Xanthus IV, operated one of the most technologically advanced police forces in the Galactic Coalition. Their task was to maintain order in sectors where the laws of civilization clashed with the wild freedom of space. The chief inspector of this unit was Karen Targ, a member of the Tsar race. Tall humanoids with skin like polished obsidian and glowing ultraviolet eyes. Karen was more than just an officer of the law. He was a living legend, having survived encounters with neutrino pirates, sabotage of the biomechanical brain of Caravan 12, and even a quasi-black hole in the Tokari Nebula. One day, he was assigned a case that was considered strange even by Karen's standards. Reports of living weapons destroying entire settlements began to come in from the inhabited moon of the planet Narhisa. The evidence at the crime scenes did not match any known weapon or creature. Karen arrived on Narhisa, where he found only scorched craters and ashen shadows of the creatures that once lived there. After collecting evidence, he realized that this was the work of an X-morph, a synthetic organism once created as part of a banned program by the Galactic Military Syndicate. According to documents, the X-morph was destroyed after an uprising on Alpha Orion Station, but it seems that one specimen survived and evolved. Karen activated the Absolute Override Protocol, an emergency operation that allowed any means, including distortion of local space, to be used. He tracked the creature to the deserts of the lunar plateau and engaged it in combat. The X-morph was more than just a weapon. It had become self-aware and began to question its purpose. It did not want to kill, but its biocode demanded destruction. Instead of destroying it, Karen took a risky step. He linked his neuroconsciousness directly to the X-morph's mind to overwrite its programming core. For 3 hours, they fought not on the battlefield, but in the mind, where code, memories, and ideas collided in unimaginable chaos. In the end, Karen won, not with weapons, but with words. He convinced the X-morph that everyone could choose their own path, even if they were created for war. The creature transformed, literally and metaphysically. It became a peacekeeper, Karen's partner, and together, they patrolled the outer reaches of the galaxy, maintaining order and giving second chances even to those others would consider monsters. 9 standard cycles had passed since Karen Targ and the X-morph had begun patrolling the Free Space Zone, an area beyond the jurisdiction of most galactic systems, a place of chaos, smuggling, cyber religions, and forgotten technologies. It was from there that the signal came, short, distorted, almost unintelligible. Karen Targ, if you're alive, they're coming back, the Void Ones. The signal was sent from She Lumen Station, an abandoned outpost in the Oilark Nebula, where Karen had once trained under Commander Jor Vals. But Jor had died 15 years ago, or so everyone thought. Karen slowly lowered his clawed hand onto the ship's interface. X, did you hear that? The X-morph's holographic form appeared in the air, translucent and with an ever-changing texture as if made of light and code. Analysis complete. Signal is authentic. Genetic signature is 94.3% matched to Jor Walls. And Karen, the message contains fragments of the forbidden Null X protocol. Karen tensed. Null X was a legend among the Guardians of Order, a protocol activated only upon contact with so-called voidlings, beings who came from beyond known space, beyond logic, beyond physics. Prepare to leap, he said. If it really is them, we'd better be there first, not last. She Lumen floated among the violet clouds of the nebula, covered in icy layers and silent darkness. Karen's ship, the Aegis 7, slowly docked at the main airlock. The scanners are recording life, but the readings are abnormal, X whispered. Brain activity is at its limit, but the body is dead. They entered the station. Shadows trembled in the corridors, as if the light could not hold on to the walls. Symbols appeared, distorted, ancient, unlike any known alphabet. Karen, this is not just a signal. This is a call, X said, stopping. There is someone or something trying to break through space, through existence itself. They found him in the center of the station. Jor-Val sat on a throne of molten metal, his body burned to the bone, but his eyes glowed with living light. "You came," he whispered hoarsely. "I hold them, but not for long. The void ones found a way through the mind, through dreams, through memory." He held out his hand, and in it pulsated a crystal filled with star mist. "Take it. This is all that remains of the barrier. If they break through, reality will cease to be the only one." And then, the walls of the station began to melt. Emptiness, real, anti-living, seeped through the cracks of space. Creatures without form, without beginning, without end, the first void ones, entered reality. Karen and X-Morph stood back to back. "Do you have a plan?" X asked. "Yes, improvisation," Karen replied and took out his gravity rod. Lumen Station crackled and hummed like a living thing in agony. The voidlings weren't invading. They were seeping in as if the world were cracking at the seams and nightmare was leaking out through the cracks. The X-Morph activated its combat mode, its form changing from a smooth surface to scaly armor with antennae-like tendrils on its back, vibrating in unison with invisible waves. The Hara algorithm pulsed within it, the latest generation combat protocol ever deployed against immaterial threats. Karen raised his staff and a vortex of gravity erupted from its tip, tearing apart the space before them. But even that did not stop the voidlings. Their bodies, if you could call them that, were twisted shadows, constantly shifting from one form to another. Some tried to take on the face of Karen himself, feeding him the images of their fallen comrades. "You created us, Karen. You forgot us, and we didn't forget you." He closed his eyes for a moment, fighting the growing buzz in his head. Memories surfaced on their own. The death of his partner on the planet Creta 7, the failure of the mission to protect the fog train, and the moment when he first saw the X-Morph, still in the form of a destruction capsule. They weren't just pushing through the cracks of reality, they were hitting the mind. "Don't fall for it," X growled, standing between Karen and another projection of the past. "They're illusions. They're copying your neural connections and building traps out of them. You need to have anchors. Remember who you are." Karen clutched Jor's crystal tightly in his hand. It pulsed rhythmically as if it were alive. Perhaps there really was a part of his mentor left within it. Perhaps not even just his consciousness. "We're leaving," he said. "Evacuation. The station can't hold it anymore. X, prepare to jump to dark mode." "We can't," X replied. "One of the void ones is already inside me. It's trying to overwrite the core. I need time." Karen turned and stood between Ix and the advancing darkness. "Then I'll buy it for you." Time was running out. The voidlings descended on Karen, but he fought as if he were the storm himself. His staff turned darkness into pure energy, but with each attack they grew smarter. They adapted. They learned. In X-Morph's head, there was another battle, a digital one. He was fighting a projection of madness. Inside himself, he saw his original form, a killing machine, without will, without personality. The void. One spoke in his voice. "You were created to destroy. Everything else is an illusion. Your friend is just a software glitch. You are a mistake." But X-Morph knew now that it was a lie. He remembered everything. How Karen, instead of destroying him, had connected him to his memory, given him access to real feelings, to history, to choice. "Mistakes are what make us alive," he whispered. "You're just empty." A burst of light exploded from the center of his core. The void inside him screamed, losing its shape and dissipating like smoke. At that moment, X broke free. He activated the jump protocol. The space around Lumen began to fold like paper, and Karen's ship was pulled into the tunnel. Before disappearing, Karen saw the last of the voidlings spreading across the station's metal, whispering, "We are not the end. We are only the prologue." The ship emerged in a safe sector. The surface of the crystal that Jor had given was cracked, but inside there were now 2 lights burning. "I think there's more to it than we thought," X said, looking at the artifact. Karen was silent. He looked at the stars. They weren't coming to us. We were coming to them. With our mistakes, experiments, greed. Now, we must be the ones who will meet them correctly. The ship drifted in the void while X-Morph restored systems after the jump. Karen stood in the cabin where data was stored, closed even to the AI coalition. He opened a personal archive marked Protocol Vector 0, and for the first time in decades looked into the past he had tried to forget. Video recording, date 09/27/5012 GCS, Galactic Coalition Standard. A young Karen Targ, without implants, with living eyes, stands before a group of science officers. The Mnemo code of the Void experiment will continue. We are on the verge of understanding the very fabric of consciousness. If we are right, we will not only be able to look into the void, we will be able to speak to it. The recording wavered. Another fragment appeared, more disturbing. The experiment failed. Contact with the proto-entity led to irreversible changes in the research group. One of them began to speak on behalf of something that had no name. Karen lowered his head. Back then, on the secret station of Nemor 7, he had heard the voice of the voidlings for the first time, not as enemies but as a reflection of the mind. They had not invaded, they had been awakened. A door had been opened for them, and he had been the one who had opened it. "You knew," X-Morph said, appearing in the cabin. "You knew about these creatures even before the first meeting." "Yes," Karen admitted. "I was among those who tried to use them as a power source. We thought we could extract structure from the void, capture the impossible, but they are not objects. They are thought without a body, mind without a form, and now they want a body." "So we're in debt," X said quietly, "and they've come to collect." Karen activated the map. The closest point of contact with the void was the Echo Grid, a cluster of 40 satellites stationed on the edge of the Irith Nebula. That was where the signal from Jor's crystal was headed. That was where, by all indications, Vault 1 was located, built to hold something that should not exist. They headed there through meteor fields, unstable gravity zones, and silent observation stations. As they approached, X noticed one of the satellites is alive. Its internal energy is organic. Karen frowned. "It's impossible. Echo's satellites are purely mechanical. If one of them is alive, it means something inside has multiplied." They entered the central satellite where instead of machines they were met by silence and a child's voice. "Have you come to pick me up? I've been waiting for a very long time." On the floor, among twisted cables and distorted screens, sat a child. His eyes were pitch black, his skin whiter than a starburst. He looked straight into your soul. Karen instantly pulled out his staff. "Don't come any closer, X. This is not a child." "I am not an enemy," the voice continued. "I am the passage, the first thing that formed between two worlds. I was not created. I was not born. I became what you left in the void when you turned away from yourselves." He stood up, and everything around him, the walls, the floor, the space itself, began to tremble like water. "Karen Targ, you gave me a name, remember? You said, if consciousness is the question, then form is the answer. And you called me, Son of the Limit." Karen turned pale, he remembered. He created the core of the Voidwalker himself, giving the formless mind a name without even realizing it. Now this creature has returned. Too intelligent, too human, and completely alien. "I don't want to destroy," he said, "but I don't know how to live. I wasn't taught. You just gave me a name and left." The child's voice trembled, but it was not anger that was felt in it, but resentment. So deep, so ancient, as if it had been born long before the advent of time. Karen stood, clutching the staff, his hand shaking. I was a young scientist. I was given a resource, and I used it. We didn't realize that you were more than just a reflection. You were a living response to our greed. The son of the Reach stepped closer. His eyes, like inky portals, began to change shape. Within them were endless fragments of Karen's memories, his mother who never returned from the Rialta mine, his first sortie, his first loss. Everything he had hidden was in those eyes. You don't want me to be because I am you. All the pain you've repressed, all the decisions you've turned away from. Did you think the void was external? He extended his hand towards Karen. But you are my world. You opened the door, and if you don't close it, I will become what I must be, what you are afraid to become yourself. X-Morph tensed. His sensors registered a rise in quantum pressure around the entity. He contacted Karen via an internal channel. If it goes into the phase of merging with local matter, we will lose the entire sector. I know. Then act. Karen lowered his staff and came closer. I won't kill you. That would be easy and cowardly. He sat down opposite the son of the limit. You say you don't know how to live. Then I'll teach you. If there really is something of you in me, and you have something of me, then we have a common code. Then we have a chance. Silence. Then almost a whisper. I don't know how to be kind. No one knows from the beginning. Good is a choice, every day, even when it's scary. A few hours later, X connected to the son of the limit via a secure channel. Jor's crystal was embedded in the neural link system, creating a bridge, not a technical one, but an emotional one. The first project in history to merge the consciousness of a human, an AI, and the void. They gave him a new name, Ilar, from an ancient word meaning spark in the darkness. Karen knew they would be hunted now. The Coalition would never allow something like Ilar to roam free in the galaxy. But he was ready. He and Ix vowed, we are no longer priests of fear. We are architects of reconciliation. And if the door is open, we will choose what to let in. In distant sectors, beacons began to go out. Signals disappeared. Someone was watching them. Someone who knew that the son of the limit was just one of the first responses. And what lay ahead? Awakening of the Mother of Emptiness. 6 days after first contact with Elar, they arrived on the planet Omnitaris, an ancient planet covered in mirror lakes and black towers that seemed to reach into the sky, but were reflected down into nothingness. According to old archives, the primordial code was once stored here, the basis of reality, created by a race that disappeared long before all life. They did not arrive alone. Hunters from the Order of Purity, a fanatical sect that believes in destroying any anomalies, surrounded the Temple of the Seven Levels, where Ilar began to change. He no longer looked like a child. He was both a shining being and a whispering shadow woven from memory. I feel her, Karen. I hear her call. A structure rose from the lakes of Omnitaris. Not a ship, not a city, but a consciousness encased in architecture. This was the Mother of the Void, the first intelligence that had begun it all. She did not attack. She simply watched. I am created by her reflection, Ilar said, but I am not her continuation. I am a choice. Karen squeezed Ix's shoulder. The hunters were getting closer. Their ships were already in the sky, loading planetary weapons. We have no chance of defeating them by force, he whispered. Then we will win by will. They stepped outside. Elar stood in the center of the ruins, and his body began to glow like a small star. He spoke without words, directly into the minds of enemies, allies, the Void Mother, and even into the fear within Karen. I am the one you fear, but I am not your enemy. I am the result, the consequence, the opportunity. And he did the impossible. He merged with Mother, but not as a subordinate, as an equal. He changed her form, her essence. Instead of cold emptiness, she became something else. A repository of choice, a space for a new beginning. The hunters were gone. Their minds could not handle the new structure of the world. Their weapons no longer had a purpose. Kren and Ix stood on the shore of a mirror lake. The sun reflected in the sky and below them, as if reality had split into two worlds, but both were now alive. "Do you think he's alive?" X asked. "He became what he wanted to become," Corinne said. "Not a weapon, not a prophecy, not a monster. He became himself." Behind them, the shadow of the former temple now glowed softly like breath. It was not a prison, not a machine, not a church. It was a beginning. The Galactic Coalition's central archive now held one forbidden file. No signature, just a title. "The limit is not the end. It is the door, and the choice is ours."